Today, I'm joined by my buddy and friend, Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson owns Growing HVAC, a recruiting firm focused on placing anybody but technicians, and we'll let Michael explain that in more detail for you here. But today, we're going to share Michael's journey of being an HVAC sales professional himself, to joining a boutique recruiting agency, to finally going out on his own and starting his own agency. And he's going to share some of his success that he's had early on. So Michael, thank you so much for being here on the show and sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be part of this.
Awesome, man. Well, before we get into all the fun stuff, tell us a little bit about your personal life, where you live, where you're located, what's going on with the family and things like that.
Right. Yeah. Very blessed and fortunate. Loving wife, Mara, is a pediatrician, and we live in northern Colorado, about an hour north of Denver. 2 kids, 3-year-old son, Ollie, 8-month-old daughter, Annabelle. And life is just good. Live in a small college town with in-laws nearby. So living the dream.
Do you live in what college town do you live in? Are you
right? So Fort Collins Fort Collins and Colorado State University is literally across town. I actually have an intern from CSU.
Excellent. Very cool. So, how did you get into the HVAC? Tell us your story of, give us the cliff notes of your career here and share a little bit of that journey of you being an HVAC sales professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Cliff notes is the great way to say it. Cut my teeth in the industry truly, as an apprentice going through a program, and then went to Penn State. Sorry, Donnie. No, that's not your school of choice. But really I ran the outdoors club for 2 years, Penn State, moved out west. I spent the next 12 years in design build sales and some sales management in there. The last 4 years, I worked for a publicly traded company, selling a lot of essentially like ESCO jobs, energy service jobs in the mush market. And it was really great. Sales is fun and exciting, impactful. And I got to really blend a technical sale with a financial solution. And, awesome. I recommend it to anyone who's looking for a career.
Awesome. So I know that you went from being in that position. How long were you sitting in the sales spot there?
Just shy of 12 years.
Okay. So over a decade in the sales position. I mean, what motivated the career change into recruiting?
Yeah, great question. I've always wanted to own my own business. And for a long time, I thought that was going to be an actual HVAC company. And I hired to start that business. Versus at the time, I had the misconception that being a recruiter was, a phone and a laptop. It really stuck out to me. I'm like, I get 8 or 10 calls a week from recruiters who couldn't answer very basic questions about the industry I was in. And I was like, I think there's a niche here.
Right. Got it. So it's kind of your experience with other recruiters combined with your passion that you found, one, there's a need in the marketplace to make something better, but 2, it kind of serves what you were after with being an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, how can I, what's the fastest way to essentially monetize being a subject matter expert and do some good in the world? And
right.
Yeah, it's great helping people find meaningful work.
Awesome. So then you transitioned into a boutique agency, right? You didn't work for a corporate, or you went right to a boutique agency, right? As a recruiter?
Yeah. Kind of messy there, where I was affiliated with someone. I had my own company, my own F Corp. We did a fee agreement. I went to market as him. And then around December was like, I really want to do things my way. And I had some visions for the future, and decided it was time to, part ways and really hit the ground running in December. Enjoyed working with you in that process and really changing the brand and just all the important things that go with that, trying to get my passion for the industry out there for, people to see. Right.
Now, before we get into all that fun meat and potatoes, I think that going on an entrepreneurial journey it's scary, right? What were some of the fears that you had and maybe have that, just so people can kind of relate, what are some of the things that are going into your head as you're going out and being like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just put all my eggs in my basket and bet on myself?
Yeah. lot of pre-game jitters, I'll say. You know,
Yeah.
for over a decade, I've had a company car and health benefits and 401k matching and all these wonderful things. And as I shared, you know, wife and 2 young children. Actually, the day I really made the decision was the day my wife shared the excellent news that we were in fact pregnant with number 2. Something we had been trying for and hoping for. And that was really, you know, I'll never forget that moment. And
Right.
I love my wife so much for being so supportive of me just, you know, leaving corporate America to go into the unknown. But I think if you're passionate about what you do, and you love the industry you work in, and like you really believe in yourself, that you're going to do the right things to get the results that you need to get at the end of the day.
Right. Right. I think you bring up something that's, you know, really important, which is like the support of your wife, you know, and her belief. Like how impactful was that for you? Like, it's a scary time. Okay, we're gonna have baby number 2, right? And then, oh, by the way, I'm gonna go get away from guaranteed income to bet on myself. How important is it for you to just know that she was there and have your support and back?
I couldn't, to be blunt and concise, could not have done it without her support.
Right.
Yeah, I'll just, again, could not have done it without her support.
Yeah.
And she believes in me and continues to believe in me. And we've enjoyed the rewards of that. And I don't know, it's just, as you're hitting on, like, it's special to have that person in life who you connect with and
Mhm.
who's truly like your partner. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
yeah, it's
That's
good. And we're
awesome.
excited for what's to come.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you're definitely blessed to have somebody like that in your life that supports you that way. For those of you that are listening with us live, go ahead and tap that like button, if you will. Give us a little bit more reach with this episode. And feel free to drop in if you have any questions for Michael about his journey. And I'll go ahead and get to those as I can as we go through this interview. So, you know, we talked a little about the fear. We've talked about kind of your support system. Before we get into like some of the, you know, work that we've done and things like that, like why, like, now that you're into it, like, what is your bigger vision of your company? It's now you're just Michael Johnson. Like, let's fast forward 5 years. Like, what? I'm gonna give you a chance to kind of declare, like, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm going after right now, guys. What does that look like for you? Are you trying to maximize your own personal desk? Are you trying to build a team around you? You know, I think it's fun to have these conversations with somebody who's 3 months in. Like, what is the big thing for growing HVAC?
I know I'm gonna have to set an alarm, you know, 2028 and look back and see how accurately I called this. Yeah, here's, you know, my vision. I love this question. I want to be the agency to call an HVAC, and not just for recruiting. I want to do some very tailored consulting, and then really, you know, my bigger kind of side project passion would be some kind of sales training. But figuring, you know, all that out, the one thing I know that is really clear to me is I want to bring in other people like myself who have history in the, you know, they have a history in the industry to join me and then scale together.
Yep.
I really like the idea of creating like a best-in-class environment for people to work in and treating people how I always wished people would treat me. And yeah, just, you know, if I can find more passionate people, like I'm truly a nerd for this stuff. If I can find
Right.
those other people, I know we can be successful together.
Yep. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So it's definitely getting bigger than where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. So what, you know, with you having that HVAC background, and that's something that we kind of, as we were doing work together, that's something we incorporated as part of your differentiator, and part of a way to connect with your audience. You know, how else do you feel like now, you know, that you're kind of, because we're talking about on the show about your ability to land retainers, like how are you able to, you know, differentiate yourself from other recruiters in the marketplace beyond just your experience sitting in that seat?
Yeah, I'd say, well, there's a lot of ways I can go here, but a couple things stick out. Generally, I'm talking to someone who is like a principal or owner or truly has a vested interest in their business. And I really take a consultative role of like, I really want to dive into what their needs are. Because it's not uncommon to find, you know, oh, I think I need this type of salesperson, but actually they need a sales manager or something along these lines. You know, I think the other thing is just like you've truly helped me get my passion for this industry and put it out there. I've always thought of sales as demand creation and marketing as awareness creation. And I had no background in marketing. So, you've helped me with just content generation, from videos to written posts, things like that. And I'm always shocked at, you get like 20 or 30 likes, but then more important than that, I have people reaching out. I've never commented or hit a like or anything. And they're like, man, I've really been following this and I appreciate what you said here. It's resonated. It's been bouncing around, in my noggin for a month. And now I'm glad we're on the phone because we need your help.
Right. I know this kind of bridges back into both you working with the partner that you had and then kind of part of growing HVAC. But, what were some of the challenges that you were facing when it comes to growing business, prior to us working together?
Yeah, I think it was really just my personal brand. I had a lot of ideas for scale and growth and ways I saw the market. And there was a bit of a different vision there. And that's okay.
Right.
Very successful person, great to work with. I heard a statement early on in life from a mentor, like, don't stay in a relationship past the expiration date.
Right.
And I think we both could see that was coming. And we were like, hey, let's part ways at the right time.
Right.
But yeah, my focus, I really want to build something larger. And I really want to focus on that holistic strategy of bringing people into the business who have sat in the chair.
Right. Right. Now, I think one of the things, again, talking about these retainers is, a lot of these retainer calls that you're getting have come from an inbound lead, not so much you pounding the phone or cold calling, but it's coming from the people that are watching you and seeing you. Some people have never experienced what it's like to be on a call where that's not a cold call, that's not knocking down somebody's door. For you, what's it like to be able to kind of be in control of that conversation, and how do you feel like the inbound lead actually helps you with getting those retainers?
Yeah, no stranger to cold calling, and love the people who do that. I'm going to try and answer that question in a couple different ways, or make sure I hit on the key points there. It feels great, first of all, because I am a sales guy and I'm used to doing so much outreach that when people place time on my calendar, I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And when I really take people through that consultative approach, and I do a lot of best practice sharing, even if you don't work with me, here's things that will help you improve your ability to attract and recruit, great candidates. It's not uncommon. They've had an experience with someone in the recruiting game who is very generalized and kind of shotguns 30 or 40 resumes for 2 weeks and then disappears.
Right.
And when they've had that experience, I'm like, well, this is how we work. And it's roughly about a third down. I think the correct term is a contained search. It's really at that point, it's a business conversation, and people are respecting what I'm putting out there and my time. And they also understand, like, it's not 100% profit deal, and I have costs that I'm incurring up front. So it's pretty rare to get the pushback. And then to add on, like, here's how you help me is, when that first month when I rebranded and launched, I took on a couple things that were contingent, and I got out of my funnel. I'd been doing the retainer contained search for the year prior very successfully. I got out of what was making me successful and hit some roadblocks along the way. And, like, you really helped me come to terms with that and say, like, okay, I'm going to put aside those pregame jitters and the nervousness of being an entrepreneur and worrying about and focusing on that. And I've turned some people away, which is kind of scary to do as a new business owner, but it worked out, and it allows me to be hyper-focused on the clients who appreciate me most.
Yep. Well, focused on clients that appreciate you, which is going to help you actually make the placements and fill the jobs rather than just staying busy, right? Which I think is a common trap for recruiters is, busy but not making money, right? Christina, actually, she's come in with a couple of questions. She said, I'd love to hear how you pitch sell retained, and what are your challenges and how do you overcome client hesitation? So anything that you could kind of share from your expertise of doing this over the years?
Sure. I want to make sure that I want to articulate this well. You know, now I'm going to stumble to find my words. Oh, so a couple things I get. Some of the more common, like, well, what if you just take my money and run? It's like, well, I wouldn't be in business, and generally by this time I've built enough rapport with someone that they know that's the case. But I usually just laugh it off. I'm like, I would not be in business. And then I'll share, like, and this happens every once in a while, where I start working on a search, and then within maybe the first week, they're like, oh my gosh, we have the best internal candidate ever. Okay, great. I'm going to credit that to the very next search, and I'm going to fill that for you. Generally, that's what people's reservation is like, they want to make sure you're not just some con person who's going to take a recruiter and run, a retainer and run. And I really focus on my upfront costs and really it being a sign of their commitment to the process.
Right.
And
right.
And again, like anyone who knows a business, anyone who's truly in a business leadership role with P&L responsibility understands cash flow and understands customer commitments to whatever they're selling. So at that point,
right.
90% of people are okay with it.
What do you think, from your opinion, like, what do you think your clients are looking for when you're asking for a retainer when everybody else is willing to do it for free? Like, what do you think is like that you're providing them that makes them go, yeah, you know what, forget the contingent, I'll work with you? What, and your best guess, like, what do you think it's after?
I really think it's my process. They already understand, like, hey, I'm a subject matter expert. I almost always, if I know what the job is, I almost always show up with my own written job description. And then here are the 6 pillars I evaluate people on, from like technical knowledge to morals and values. And at that point, they're like, oh, this guy, he really gets it. And then I share my process with them, which is very different from what they've experienced in the past. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting your question, Donnie.
Oh, just around the whole, retainer, like what you think that they actually are buying into, why
the expertise in the process. Oftentimes when I really show, like I show real world examples of, maybe I start with a source list of 163 people, and I go through, historical performance, technical knowledge, cultural fit. And this is a true example. I did this past August. I presented 4 candidates to commercial service contractor in Atlanta, and they hired 3.
Right.
And that differentiator of, like, I'm not going to pepper you with I go through all the nuance and find the people who are that perfect puzzle piece, and it's going to take some time, but I'm not going to waste your time with all these other things. So I think it's just such a contrast to what they've had in the past that they're excited to take it on.
Right. So a lot of that's just how you're showing up, the delivery, your process, and the way you're presenting all of that information. They can see kind of the value there. So it's actually having an offer and not just being an order taker, I think is a good way to put it. I think, Christina, just to kind of go into this, and Michael, you can kind of respond off of this too, but I think the biggest thing really is the mindset around it. And Michael hit it on earlier, where he's willing to walk away and say no if it doesn't fit into his wheelhouse. And I think that's where a lot of people that I work with, that's where they struggle, is they're not confident that another one's going to come up. So they don't say no, they don't protect their power and their energy, and they're not fully committed to it. It's like they're just kind of wishy-washy into if they will or if they won't. So I think that based off of my knowledge of where, helping Michael is, like, he's fully committed to, being in the retained world after he kind of recommitted himself to that. He's showing up and adding, value and outlining his process so that he can see and actually show them, how he's different. But again, I think it's just the mindset and being willing to walk away and being willing to focus on, and I think that's a powerful place for recruiters to go, is just simply that, to break it all down, is just the ability to say no. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that, Michael, but that's kind of
I do. You hit on so many great things, and I coach candidates. Remember, you're interviewing this company too. I'm looking for that long-term fit. I'm successful if I'm checking in with you in 3 years and like, man, I love it here, and I'm so happy you helped me connect the dots. I do the same thing when I'm pitching a client. I'm interviewing them, and I let them know, like, this is really serious to me. Part of leaving corporate America was people wanting you to sell things that you couldn't fulfill, and I just wouldn't do it. It doesn't fit with my own value system. I would not be able to sleep right knowing I'm placing a candidate at a company with a toxic culture, or like a history of not paying commissions, or whatever that looks like. So, and there's times where I let people know that too. Like, hey, I want to talk to a sales leader. I want to talk to one of your colleagues. They say, why? I'm like, well, I want to make sure it's a consistent, we're a well-aligned cultural fit. And again, that just kind of mentality of I'm not willing to place someone at a bad company really resonates, and they see how serious I am. That like, yeah, I may even turn down a retainer if you're not able to like truly provide to me that you're a quality employer.
Right. No, I think that's huge, right? Is you're actually qualifying the client, and not just, again, I think that the challenge in this industry is a lot of people set themselves up as being an order taker rather than they are a true partner or advisor to this organization. And that comes from that sales call. So that's excellent feedback and advice. So thank you, Christina. That's a great question.
Thank you.
And so Scott, yeah, there will be a replay of the session. You can either find it on my page here or will be on my YouTube channel probably by tomorrow. Angels, let's see. What is your secret recipe to approach new clients? I'm going to give you the chance to be the expert on this one, Michael. So what is your secret recipe to approach new clients?
All right. It's a little bit of sugar. It's a little bit of cinnamon. No, I love you. You introduced me to Loom, and I love Loom to the point where I even use it in like my personal life.
Yep.
When I really want to convey a message. I had the great fortune of being part of this like sales mastery program. And it was a 2-week course. 1 week was in Chicago. The other week was at University of Houston. And they had like an actual sales degree. So it was like their whole MBA and sales department. And they broke down, the power of face-to-face conversation. At the time, video wasn't a thing, phone call, email, text. And Loom is like the best tool when you can't have that face-to-face. So I've sent a ton of Loom videos to people, for the secret sauce. What's that? That's Loom. I send someone a Loom. I can see that they watched it or they didn't. And then I kind of let that do its work. Yep.
Cool. That's definitely a fun little tactic there. You got it, Scott. That Loom tactic is one that everybody loves, right? Angels, just kind of tie into that. It's, a lot of what we work on for client attraction is first getting clear on what clients we're trying to attract. And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people in the space is, even Michael, for example, we could say HVAC. Well, that's pretty vague. Is it HVAC Fortune 100? Is it the medium-sized companies? Is it small guys? Like, where do we play? Because challenges hiring, how I'm going to communicate to that audience is all going to be different. It's not your ability to actually recruit and fill those positions, which probably could do in any of those organizations, but my ability to get a client to see how I can help them solve their problem is our main goal and the main foundation that we work off of, and then really focus on differentiating people. So actually, I'm going to actually kind of transition this into Michael's experience with working with me and allow him to continue to go down and answer this question of the secret sauce that we're building over here. But Michael, I mean, what was, one of the things that we helped you with is setting up some automation. How has that impacted your business? Have you used that with both client development as well as attracting candidates, or just one side or the other?
Yeah, I use it with both sides. I really love it. I'm gonna go before that automation, and this is key, is working with you and really understanding and buying into the concept of, time to earlier, like marketing, creating awareness. Like, I truly love this. I'm a nerd for this stuff. Like, I'll go to a trade show and walk around and look at everything and talk to people, not trying to get a fee. Just like, oh, this is the coolest new. So consistency of posting that on LinkedIn of like, here's who I am, here are my interests, this is what I love to do. And that, then you helped me with automation, which was just expanding my network. And right. It's been fun to see that come full circle, because part of my messaging when I'm connecting with people is like, hey, I really try and post 3 times a week, and these are some of the general topics I post about. And I get a lot of response to that of like, oh, like, I'm new into sales and I'm excited to see your sales tips. And then I'll email someone, here's the link of a 2-minute video that you can incorporate in your world. So automation's helped a ton, but before that, like, you helping me understand the consistency of getting my personality and passion out there has been huge.
Right. I love that feedback. I want to kind of follow up on that. What are, because content for some people, there's a lot of categories here, right? So first there's the category of, well, content doesn't work for recruiters in generating clients. What's your quick response to that?
Of course it does.
Okay. Cool.
I've cashed checks,
yeah,
monthly because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And let's not confuse this, people. I mean, you got to be great at your job and actually recruiting and do that function, right? If you have a machine that help drive awareness around your brand and help, rather than you tell people how good you are, to actually show people how good you are, the content strategy can be really powerful. I think what's the next thing is, what were some of your fears? I think that people have a little bit of fear and hesitation, frustration with sharing, whether it's themselves personally or even sharing their expertise. Like some of the things that kind of showed up for you as you started going on this journey.
I'll be honest, the initial fear was more of an ROI.
Right. Okay.
Young family wanting to provide, oh my gosh, I'm going to take 10 minutes to write a LinkedIn post when I could be making a cold call. Boy, how my mentality there has changed.
Right.
So that's a big part of it. I didn't really have the fear of rejection. I will say the one thing I was nervous of is posting about like a certain technology and having someone who's like the PhD in that come in and give me that, well, actually, this is more nuanced. And, but I've been fortunate enough not to encounter that. Yeah.
Right. One of the things that we do talk about, and I think this is a good thing to drive around here, is like personal content, right? And, especially on LinkedIn, people are like, oh, no, LinkedIn's not a place for personal. But share how you've been able to share somebody just like what's going on and how that's made an impact and really just drawn a connection with your audience.
Yeah, great question and great topic. I love talking to people about this. Every business is business between people, and recruiting is like the most tangible, personified version of this. So people want to know who you are as a person. I put that out there. I've made posts like, here's 3 things being a father has taught me, and these are like real lessons I've learned from being a father and like how they've actually impacted me being a business owner or a businessman. When our daughter was born, I was like, I don't care if this is the wrong platform. Like, I'm
Right.
so excited. I want to share this with, all the people in my network. I've got lots of friends over the last decade in this business who don't have an Instagram or don't have a Facebook or whatever. And it's like, those people are sending me DMs about they're so happy for me, or like, we didn't even know you're expecting, like, we're going to send you a registry gift. Like, so my advice to anyone who's really worried about that would be, sure, some people may not appreciate it. Who cares? There's going to be way more people who do appreciate it and like really like getting to know who you are as a person outside of the role you're performing, Monday through Friday.
Yep. Kara came in and asked a question. Thank you. That's amazing feedback. Kara came in and asked, do you create your own content /videos?
Yes and no. Great question, Kara. I've created a lot. I'm wearing a fancy lapel mic today, and I've got a nice camera. I write a lot of my content, and then I did hire out. I want to be strategic. Something I picked up from Donnie. I brought in a videographer today, and I had like 20 topics that I really wanted to develop, and he shot them and edited and added captions, and that's been fun. I do have a marketing intern from CSU. When I was at Penn State, I participated in an internship, and I learned so much. I wanted to give back. And so I went through their program and all the paperwork and signed up, and I have an intern who I help with a lot of the content, but then she'll, like, as far as like the words or like why the study is important, but then she'll make, pictures, images, infographics, and help get those out across social media.
Excellent. Kind of to follow up on that, Kara, is like, this is one of the things that we teach within our program is how the number one mistake that recruiting firms can make is outsourcing your content. Don't waste your time outsourcing content. It will never connect with your audience. It's stiff, it's stuffy. Can people write better than you? 100%. But the thing that Michael does really well is he's the main creator, and he uses his assistant or his intern to kind of take care of some of the busy work of content, which might be the graphics or the flushing out of the details. Those are the things that you want to look at outsourcing, right? If you're doing video, have somebody else edit your video, have somebody else put the captions in, have somebody else put the titles in, but you have to be the content creator because that's where people genuinely connect with people like yourself. And one of the things that I do within the program is empower individuals that may not think that they have anything to share, or that have the fears of getting on camera, putting themselves out there, to go on this journey of being a content creator, because, you know, it's a skill that we can all develop and become better at. And we have a big saying in the program, which is progress, not perfection. So Michael is the epitome of that in terms of how he steps in, takes action, willing to fail forward, make a tweak, go, you know, but he's always producing. And that's, you know, the results that people see that are, you know, impactful from the program are usually the people that are playing at a high level and being creative and playful. So
can I add on to that?
Yeah.
So just, I was talking to a fellow recruiter yesterday. We met for coffee, adjacent, but not competitors. And I was sharing that, you know, I had a cover letter show up from a relatively young person, and it was extremely formal and technical. And I looked at this letter, and in my mind is like, Chat GPT wrote this.
Yep.
And I still, you know, set a call and jumped on an interview. And about 10 minutes into the interview, I mean, man, it was like pulling teeth to get words out of this person. I said, hey, I'm pretty sure you utilized ChatGPT to write this. And he just laughed. He's like, yep, caught me. I did. I was like, yeah, like I appreciate the, you know, the creative idea, but here's the problem is there's this huge disparity in the voice that I saw and now the voice that I'm experiencing. And I think that's the ultimate pitfall you're alluding to with like outsourcing your content, is it's never going to sound like you. And then when people are intrigued and they get you on the phone, they're like, well, who's this person? Yeah. This isn't who I'm seeing online.
Yep. Well, authenticity wins, right? And I think that there's definitely going to be a place for AI in people's content journey. But, you know, if you're bad at content before and you think that AI is going to change that, it's just going to make it actually worse, right? And so it's really like having a good overall strategy. But like the big thing that AI doesn't replace in any element is the human factor. It's authenticity. That's why we connect with people. So just keep that in mind for those of you that are going down that AI path and everybody's heroing it right now. Again, I think you should use AI, let's be clear, but be smart about how you use it, because it's going to create experiences just like that. That's a great point you bring up. What do you think, you know, coming back into our work, like what do you think was most impactful for your business and life as a result of us working together?
Geez, there's so much there. You know, I think it's really been getting my passion out there. I'm going to quote this guy, Mike Lebecki. He's like a Nat Geo world explorer, and he's got this great saying, why ration the passion, or don't ration the passion. And I just love that. Like, this guy would be going through hellish experiences and still smiling because he's fortunate to be there. So yeah, getting my passion for the industry out there is huge. Being consistent with like showing up and putting content out there. And then, yeah, I mean, you were truly the one who challenged me of like, look, you were successful doing this container game for the last year, and you've taken things on contingency and now you're struggling. Like, why do you think that is? It's like, oh, because I got off my process. Well, why is that? I had self-centered fear for myself and my family. I wasn't going to be able to provide. Like, well, let's act without that. Like, what's the best practice? Like, following the process of procedures I built. So, you know, hard to pick which one, but like it's been a huge transformation working with you and utilizing a marketing expert, because I'm certainly not one.
No, I appreciate that, man. And like I said, I appreciate the way you step in and show up and play hard every single day, and willing to make the adjustments, willing to be vulnerable, willing to step into your fears. These are all things that are necessary to be a successful entrepreneur. You know, the fear doesn't get us too far, right? So, but it's something that we all have that, you know, sometimes we don't even want to, you know, fully embrace. So thank you for sharing that, and even being vulnerable here as we're on this podcast of sharing, you know, fears that you've had a couple of times on the show here. What are some of the results that, you know, created? I know you've kind of just opened the doors officially a couple months ago, but what are some of the results that you've created, you know, whether it be revenue or clients or whatever, that you'd be willing to share with the audience as a result of us kind of working together?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to struggle to answer that. You know, the financial reward has been there. In the first year, I matched what I was making with just shy of a 6-figure base and that type of commission. I think like the ultimate reward is I've been able to create something I really believe in, and I get to make those changes and run that how I see fit. And that's truly best for my customers and my clients and myself. That works out for all of us. I'm never going after something I don't truly believe in.
Right.
That freedom, that autonomy, that ooh, I see this trend coming. I can capitalize on this. Like in the past, I've never, not working for myself, I wouldn't have had the ability to capitalize on those things. So that's really big. And then, things like I'm really proud of is, I want to be discreet here, but I'll just say there was a gentleman who was maybe experiencing some of what I've experienced, like a little bit of fear or uncertainty, taking on additional challenges. And when I approached him on the phone, I'll try and be brief here. If I ramble, play that music. But this guy was like, telling me about what he really wants in life and the challenges he really wants. Like, man, this is great. I've got this employer and this is what they want. And I see you as having 90% of it. And that last 10%, you'll bridge that. And then he pulled back. He's like, I'm really not qualified. I'm really not this. I'm all this self-limiting thought. And I just I stopped and, I'm pausing not to say his name. And I was like, so-and-so, look, you just told me you wanted this and you have what it takes to be here. And your current employer isn't giving you the shot to grow into that. And this is a brand new employer and a fresh start. And from day one, they're going to give you that opportunity. Like Peyton Manning had this great quote about treat a man as he is, that's who he'll be. Treat a man as who he could be, and that's who he'll become in his famous retirement speech. And I've stayed in touch with him. And it was like a guy who was selling a couple $1 million a year, and 8 weeks in, he already had $1 million project booked, and he had a multi-million-dollar project funnel, and he was just rejuvenated and passionate about what he was doing again. I could probably tell 8 or 9 more stories like that, and why ration the passion? That stuff really juices me up because it's fun to be a part of helping people grow into more fulfilling roles.
Right. Being able to serve them at a high level too, and being able to support and coach them essentially, right, into helping them make these decisions and choices. Obviously, massive decisions you're helping make, right, and opportunities you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome, man. What was surprising to you? When you signed up, obviously there were certain things that you thought what was surprising about working with me that you didn't expect coming in?
How much work I'd have to do. and I'm not being but that's anything, if it's nothing worth doing is easy.
Right.
That one thing I'll take away, life lesson from my father, nothing worth doing is easy. You have a great method and procedure and the roadmap of how to get there, but it's not hey, you pay this and now it's done for you.
Right.
To your point, one, that would be unauthentic, but two, the amount I've learned and just grown from that has been wild, because not only has it helped me with my social media and getting things out there, but it's actually, I've changed sales presentations around that. I've made other changes with how I'm approaching candidates with messaging. So it was a lot of work, and I really appreciate that because it's made me really step up and grow.
Yeah. Love it. What do you think, if somebody's listening here right now, what would you tell somebody that's considering working with me?
Do it. Do it. Look, the next 6, 8, 12 months are going to go by. Truly in a year from now, it's just going to be February 22nd, 2024. You could have either invested in yourself and grown your business and been better, a better servant to your clients and your candidates and the other people in your life, because Donnie's program isn't just limited to your professional life, or you can keep doing what you're doing and get the same results. To me, it's that simple.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. That's beautiful. Yeah. The definition of insanity, right?
Yeah. Well, look, I was a technician first, and I did an apprenticeship. So I worked during the day, I went to school a couple nights a week, whatever. And I was I became a journeyman, and I was coming out of that, and a buddy of mine had just finished his bachelor's degree, and he was working his tail off and also putting himself through earning a master's. And he looked at me and was like, Michael, dude, like, you want to go to college, go to college. 4 years will pass. You can either have a whole lot more knowledge and understanding if you want it, or you won't. You know, it's up to you. And I've really, that's like stuck with me. And your program is just like a perfect iteration of that, because the amount you learn in such a short amount of time, that really, like, it's not linear, it's exponential, changes how you look at this business is massive. So to anyone considering it, like, just dive in and go for it.
Right on, man. Appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, that's the way to step in, right? And do the same thing over and over again, same results. And, you know, it's also kind of putting your future in your own hands, right? You're betting on yourself, you're investing into yourself, you know, as you go into a program like mine. So what are you most excited about now, man? I mean, you're 3 months into, you know, the new business. I know that there's like a lot right in front of you, but what is it that you're excited about now with your business?
Scaling. It truly, like, I have such a great feedback from both clients and candidates. I have so many candidates who are like, I watched your video. What a novel idea. Like, I can't believe how many people, like, it's almost like I'm a fortune teller. They're like, I've had that experience where I get 8 calls in a week, and they can't, none of these jobs are a good fit. Why aren't you doing more? I literally had a candidate yesterday, like, you need to get more of these positions. I was like, I laughed out loud. I was like, trust me, I'm working on it. So to be on point, you know, I'm looking forward to finding those right people. I've identified a couple people nearby that I'm hoping I can bring into the fold and scale this. And that's truly it. I'll give a little more there. Sorry for not being cognizant of time with this, but, you know, I did have a couple years in a sales management role, and I had a couple years in like a team lead role. And I have a very high success rate of finding talented people who need the opportunity to succeed. And I've really enjoyed mentoring them to the point where, like, one of my, and I stay in touch with like 6 guys. The group of us will, you know, I'll connect with them all like one-off at least once a week. And one guy's crushing it in HVAC sales. He's going to do about 400K this year. He did 350 last year. Before that, you know, when we met, he was doing about 65 grand a year. I don't know, that like, it's been extremely rewarding to see someone like grow and flourish and flower and just like thrive in life. And, you know, what excites me is bringing people like that into my business and helping them grow and helping the business grow and just better serving the industry.
Yeah. Love it, man. I can tell you're passionate about just doing things the right way and serve people and serving your clients and just doing everything at a high level. I think that's inspiring. And we've got a lot of people listening. If you guys enjoyed this interview, if you can go ahead and just give it a like, a love, or whatever it is, wherever you're watching it, I would appreciate that. Thank you for those of you that have engaged and asked Michael questions and shared your feedback. It's been awesome. If any of you are watching and you're looking to create a little bit more predictability into your business and you want to add, you know, some warm phone calls of either clients or candidates and really build a brand that stands out and could possibly even lead to retained business, then feel free to send me a direct message here and we can set up a time to speak and, you know, share success with you like Michael's had going through the program. But I think Michael hit the nail on the head is I'm not the magic pill, you are. And you know, in the program, you're going to roll up your sleeves and do some work and build some skill to change your life and change your business. So if that's you right now, go ahead and drop a comment or send me a direct message. I'd love to get on the phone with you. Michael, thank you, man, for being here, for dropping the value. We've got some great feedback from people that have been watching here, really enjoying your story, inspirational and things like that. So I appreciate how raw you've been. Those that are watching, how can they find you, man? How can people connect with you?
Sure. If you just search Growing HVAC on LinkedIn, that's the company page. Michael Johnson. I am definitely hiding in the sea.
You and 50 other Michael Johnsons out there.
Yeah, my parents are really creative. Michael Stephen Johnson. I should know this, man. I believe it's, you know, Michael Johnson - Growing HVAC. I'll circle back on LinkedIn and tag myself in this, or I'm sure you will.
Right on, man. Last thing, give you a chance to be the expert here. What's one piece of advice you give somebody that's, you know, starting a recruiting business right now or running a recruiting business, like what's one thing to leave the audience with?
Pre-gauge jitters are real. You're going to have fear, uncertainty, doubt. Push through that. Focus on the positive and not the negative, and keep moving one step ahead at a time, and things are going to go well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody that tuned in and listened and watched. And again, if you can show a little love, we'd appreciate it. I see all the things coming in. Appreciate you guys. Michael, thank you again. And we will be back here. We'll be off next week and doing a little bit of travel, but in a couple of weeks, we'll be back with another live episode of the Relevant Recruiter Show. Michael, thank you. Everybody else, we'll see you soon.